Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are taking a seriously fascinating journey into the very fabric of existence. We're going to be guided by an exploratory 2026 paper by J. Porto called Conceptual and Historical Basis for TIFF. We're essentially going to completely rethink how the universe is built. We'll be looking at some absolutely incredible concepts, and we're going to break them down step by step to understand a framework that challenges, well, literally everything we think we know about reality.
So I want you to just think about this for a second. What if space and time aren't the bottom layer of reality? For centuries, we've kind of viewed the universe as this giant, predictable machine. A vast, empty stage of space and time where particles just bump into each other. But what if we zoom all the way down into the deep quantum depths? What if that stage isn't fundamental at all, but is actually something that emerges from a much deeper, completely invisible structure?
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the illusion of space-time, uncover math's hidden layer through spinors, and then demystify the Born rule. After that, we'll explore the learning universe, look at UAPs and Fermi's paradox, and finally bring it all together into a new cosmic paradigm.
Okay, Section 1, the illusion of space-time, moving beyond the mechanical universe.
Okay, let's dive into this. In the 20th century, quantum mechanics and relativity completely broke our common intuition. They strongly hinted that space-time itself might just be a surface-level phenomenon. So let's compare two paradigms here. On one side, we have the classical view. This is the materialist paradigm most of us were taught in school, right? The universe is a machine made of localized particles, and consciousness is basically just a late biological accident. But on the other side, we have the TIFF view. Here, the universe is actually a pre-spatiotemporal informational web, and consciousness isn't an accident at all, it's a fundamental property. It is a wildly different way of framing reality.
To explain the TIFF framework simply, and by the way, TIFF stands for Tea Informational Fibrata, or the Fibered Informational Web, think of it as a pre-spatiotemporal network of coherent informational relations. Basically, before there is space and before there is time, there is a web of pure information. Everything we interact with every single day, space, time, matter, energy, is just a macroscopic shadow or projection cast by this deeper, invisible architectural web. Think of it like a video game. What we see and experience as space-time is just the monitor display. But the TIFF, that's the underlying source code generating the whole shebang.
Moving on to Section 2, spinors, math's hidden layer. This is the geometric blueprint of fermions.
So how does math actually support this? Because this isn't just a sudden, wild guess. It's a century-long mathematical evolution. Starting back in 1928, Paul Dirac formulated the relativistic equation of the electron, and he introduced these mathematical objects called spinors. Then, by the 1960s, mathematicians like Atiyah and Singer proved that spacetime actually needed a very specific geometry to even allow these spinors to exist in the first place. Later on, Roger Penrose suggested geometry itself could be reconstructed entirely from spinors. And now, Porto's 2026 T-TIFF hypothesis proposes that these spinors are actually the observable signature of that deep, pre-geometric informational web.
I absolutely love this quote attributed to Paul Dirac. The electron seems to know about the whole universe. Now, while he was technically commenting on mathematical properties, philosophically it suggests something huge. It suggests that the fundamental description of matter involves a deep, non-local, universal connectivity. An electron isn't just some lonely dot floating around. It's intricately tied to the entire cosmic web. And this brilliantly illustrates our point if we break the logic down into 4 simple steps. 1. Fermions, like electrons, exist in our universe. 2. Mathematically, these fermions are described by spinors. 3. For spinors to exist globally, they demand that the universe has a very specific geometric spin structure. And 4. Therefore, space-time itself actually emerges from this underlying topological coherence. Just by existing, a tiny little electron dictates the geometric architecture of reality. No way around it.
All right, Section 3, demystifying the Born rule. Why nature squares the amplitude.
To tackle this really stubborn mystery, we have to look at the Born rule. Mathematically, it states that probability equals the absolute value of the amplitude, squared. It is used literally every day in labs worldwide, and it works perfectly. But traditional physics has never fully explained exactly why nature chooses to square the amplitude. I mean, why not cube it? Actually, why not just use the amplitude itself?
Let's compare the traditional quantum concept with the TIFF interpretation. In TIFF, the amplitude isn't just a math trick. It represents the degree of logical coherence in that deep informational web. The square represents the intensity of that coherence projecting into our physical world. It's much like how light intensity is the square of an electromagnetic wave. And finally, the probability we observe is just the stable, emergent physical reality. The math is simply showing us the translation from a deep, hidden logical domain directly into our observable physical domain.
Which leads us to Section 4, the learning universe: information, evolution, and consciousness.
Now, while TIFF is heavily grounded in modern physics and information theory, humanity has actually intuited this underlying unity for millennia. The Vedic Upanishads spoke of a unified absolute principle. Neoplatonism described successive emanations from the One. Zoroastrianism conceptualized Asha, a fundamental cosmic order. We aren't trying to turn myth into science here, for sure, but rather recognizing that ancient cultures intuited a deep, invisible reality that modern science is just now starting to map out with quantum coherence and emergent geometry.
This brings us to a truly beautiful concept. The learning universe is the hypothesis that cosmic evolution is an active process of informational integration. The universe literally learns through its own conscious structures. Consciousness isn't separate from the cosmos. It is the universe becoming self-reflective. Every single conscious mind is a local window through which this universal web observes, integrates, and reorganizes information about itself.
Okay, Section 5, UAPs and Fermi's paradox: rethinking cosmic intelligence.
Now, I want to be clear that we are exploring hypothetical frameworks here, not established empirical facts, but it brings us to a fascinating concept: the ontological Fermi paradox. So Fermi's paradox basically asks, if the universe is so vast and old, where is all the alien life? Why the total cosmic silence? Well, we usually look for industrial signs, right? Radio waves, massive energy consumption, giant physical structures. But the ontological Fermi paradox suggests our search might be failing simply because we are using tools designed for heavy material civilizations.
So, the big question is, are we looking for industrial aliens in a post-material universe? If advanced intelligences understand the TIFF framework, they probably wouldn't rely on clunky, traditional rocket propulsion. They might just manipulate the fundamental informational web directly. They could alter the emergent geometry of space-time itself. And honestly, this perfectly frames the extreme physics, like impossible accelerations without aerodynamic signatures, that are currently observed in UAPs. They aren't machines in the classical sense at all. They are systems operating at the deep architectural level of reality.
Finally, Section 6, a new cosmic paradigm: integrating matter, geometry, and mind.
So, the crucial point is, let's bring all these zoom levels together into one cohesive picture with 4 major takeaways. 1. Spacetime is not the bottom layer, it is an emergent projection. 2. The math of spinors basically proves that fermions require a hidden, pre-geometric informational web just to exist. 3. Quantum probability, the Born rule, is simply the projection of that deeper informational coherence into our physical world. And 4. The universe isn't a dead, empty machine, it is an evolving, learning system where consciousness is absolutely fundamental.
I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. If the universe truly is a conscious web of information and you are literally the universe experiencing itself, how does that change your place within it? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into Porto's exploratory analysis. Keep questioning the nature of reality and never stop learning.